Good afternoon, Orlando.
Yeah.
My name is Kaleem. I'm a product manager at Yammer. Welcome back to our presentation. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have been at Yammer for about 2 years now. During my first year, I focused on building out our IT and compliance capabilities. And over the last year, I've been a little more focused on building out the community management aspects of our product. I started off my career first at Microsoft Research and then in the Windows User Experience team. So I've actually been here for 6 years now. And this is my first time in Orlando, second time at Ignite, and I'm super excited to be here and show you what we got.
My name's Allison Michaels. I am a longtime Yammer fan. I used to actually be a Yammer customer back in the day, then joined the Yammer team and kind of have traveled the journey with Yammer and Microsoft for a while. Took a little stint and kind of back in it, a little bit of deja vu, but a whole lot of fun. And it's really, really good to be with you guys today. I've worked with a lot of different customers of all shapes and sizes, so I'm really excited to share with you some of the things that we're going to talk about this afternoon. So here's what we're going to cover this afternoon. We're going to kind of lay a foundation of community management. This may or may not be new to some of you in the room, but also just so that way we're really level setting and kind of getting on the same page, especially if you come from maybe an IT background, which probably most of you are. You might, just to kind of get a little bit of our vocabulary and vernacular kind of on the same page. And then we are actually going to talk a little bit about some scenarios or really some questions that we're hoping that our solutions and tools will start to answer for you and your organizations and your use of Yammer. So we've got a couple of questions that are highly asked of our community managers, our IT professionals, and our users, and hopefully we'll start to answer some of those as well. And if we have time, we will do a little bit of Q&A at the end. So just to kind of level set, some of you have probably seen this slide. If you've attended other Yammer sessions throughout the week, you've seen this slide, and you will probably continue to see this slide. But I think it's really kind of setting the story of this Microsoft 365. There's a toolkit of a variety of different tools, the way that people are getting work done. And we're specifically, obviously, going to talk more or less about the outer loop, really where Yammer fits in. And I think Yammer, at the end of the day, Yammer, our mission is really to connect people and information to enable decisions faster. And this has been, and we've kind of held true to this through the years, regardless of all the changes that Yammer has gone through. So I think it'll be really interesting to kind of see, because we really truly believe that people feel more empowered when they're connected, regardless of kind of where they sit within the organization. As we kind of level set from a community management perspective, and what is this community, I would like to just really at the 1,000 or 10,000 foot level just define what a community is. And it's really a group of people who are organized around a specific topic or interest. And I think this could be true of online or offline communities. For example, I became a first-time mom a couple of years ago, and my mom community was my lifeblood for survival those first few weeks and months to make sure that I wasn't going crazy or that something else that I was doing wasn't inappropriate or the well-being of my child. But there's also some incredible communities that happen literally within your workforces as well, whether that's a leadership community or maybe it's a women in technology community. You can see the different pockets of groups of people even here at Ignite. People who are passionate about a specific product, or maybe they're at a certain level based on their kind of role, or even people who are all from Australia or all from a certain region of the world. So there's a variety of different ways that your organizations kind of can connect from that perspective. Community management essentially is your rules of engagement. This is kind of laying down the foundation, the expectations of what you expect of your members or your group to behave, kind of the behaviors and the norms within your community. And I think some of these will go without saying. Others, you might actually need to document and kind of write down specifically from a Yammer perspective, kind of what is expected, what is our norms from a community perspective. when we think about Yammer specifically, community managers may or may not kind of be one single person or a group of people. Some of you, even within this room, might even have the role of an accidental community manager. Anybody kind of in that role right now? Maybe a couple of you? Yeah. So either you didn't come from a community management background or kind of that internal comms background, or maybe you're an IT person trying to figure this out. A lot of times that is very, very common within our customers. Another core piece of what a community manager or a team of community managers really does is they're the liaisons with the business partners like legal, HR, compliance, security, IT, kind of all of these different business partners to help ensure success and kind of a smooth launch or rollout or use of Yammer, kind of make sure that everything's kind of going the right way. And I would say these are kind of, again, your outer loop, your people kind of in that outer loop, really helping to achieve success. And then the last part, probably kind of really diving into what this session's all about, is you as community managers, or maybe the IT pros who are now wearing also that hat as a community manager, you are really kind of tasked with measuring value and determining success. So what does this look like? How are you going to report up and report out to your executive teams of what this could look like within your organization? And I will say, what this looks like varies based on where your community is. If you're just launching, that and the things that you measure look differently than if you've been around for a couple of years or many years like some of you in this room. And so the ways that you measure and kind of prove out value could very much differ based on kind of the stage of your community. So today's really two main takeaways is Yammer cares about community management. And I think if you've been around for a while, or maybe even if you're new around here, hopefully you know and feel that. We actually have a really great community of community managers, right? A little bit of, what is that? I can't remember what that's called, but really kind of good opportunity to connect with one another. And we really do truly care about that. And then the second main point is that because of our commitment to community managers, that we want to show you what we've been up to and the different tools and insights to make better decisions, kind of faster to continue the growth and the impact that your community has. So at Yammer, we've been on the journey for about this past year or so, and Kaleem is going to share a little bit about the journey that Yammer has specifically been on. So, you want to take it away?
Cool. So yeah, I think it's important to share our own journey with community management over the last year, because this will help you understand the different inputs and thinking that went behind all of the stuff that we're about to show you. And this all started really, first of all, with feedback from you, our customers. Myself and many of my colleagues were here last Ignite, and we got a chance to speak with some really passionate customers and community managers and understand really the kinds of things that you were trying to do with our product and the kinds of things you wish you were able to do. And so this gave us a lot of inspiration. And similarly, at the same time, we were getting a lot of feedback from our own user voice, which is a tool which lets customers give us feedback and share ideas on the kinds of things they wish they were in our product. So we had all this feedback, right? And we took all that feedback, and we wanted to understand a little bit more about the different problems and needs that people had. So we actually conducted a whole bunch of detailed research, sitting down with community managers one-on-one and really trying to understand what their day looked like, who are the people they worked with, how they used our tools today, what are the different needs they had, and so on. And in some cases, we even brainstormed solutions with them. So this here is a scene from a workshop that we had in Seattle with some of our most passionate community managers and customers, some of whom, by the way, are in this room today, and to come up with some different ideas that we could use to solve this problem. And we took all of this insight and all of these ideas and went back to work in our studios trying to figure out where we felt we could add the biggest value for you, where we could save you the most time. And as we were going through this entire design process, coming up with solutions, we made sure to run these by customers to make sure that the kinds of things that we were building were actually going to solve the problems that they were having. So this is a little bit about our journey, but there's another journey here that's important to talk about. And that is the journey that our community managers go through in experiencing our product. And so this depends, whether you're starting and you're introducing Yammer within your organization to as you grow your communities and as those communities mature. So I'll talk a little bit about this. The first phase we think is, of course, the launch phase. So you might, start out with a couple of departments. Maybe you've nailed down a couple of use cases. And you want to try it out with these departments and see if, it sticks for a couple of weeks or after that before you start rolling it out more broadly within your organization. So during this time, you probably want to understand, whether people are sticking around. Are they using Yammer even after that initial initiative? How are they using Yammer? What are they doing on it? And be able to share that insight and information with others who you might be working with in your organization, perhaps even report it out if you have those stakeholders. Once you've gone past this launch, you've tried it out with a couple of different departments, you move into sort of what we call this growth phase. So here you're trying to build really good groups and communities. So what you're trying to do is make sure that people in groups are getting the most out of it. Keeping a track of group health and figuring out what the engagement looks like over time so you can devise better strategies. And the other thing you also might start doing here is figuring out new ways that Yammer can bring business value to you. So if you find those cases, maybe you share that with other departments. Hey, look at this department, they're using Yammer in this way, maybe try that out for a couple of weeks and so on. And so once you have sufficient amount of growth, you're satisfied with it, then it's more about continuing momentum, making sure that your communities are running smoothly. And here there might be a couple of things that come up, like let's say we release a new feature. You might find out what are your company's policies on those features and communicate that out to your group admins. Maybe you're looking out for people in your groups who are open to more responsibility with managing those groups and so on. Now what I'm showing you here, I've got this three-phase thing, and it may not necessarily be as clean as it is here. You might have overlaps and so on. But the important thing to take away from this is that the kinds of things that community managers are looking for from our product varies depending on the phase that they are in. And what we hope to do is provide you with the right tools for each of these different phases so you can be successful in building your own communities. Now, over the last year, we went on by default in Office 365, which was a huge deal for us. And due to that, we have had a huge number of incoming customers, new customers trying out Yammer for the first time. So over the last year, we have focused most of our efforts on these first two phases and building things that would help you out in these two phases. And we're going to show you in this presentation what we've built for these.
All right, because it's after lunch, how many of you stand up if you would identify your organization or your Yammer network kind of in this launch phase? Either you have launched or you're about to launch, maybe launch within the last 6 months or so. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. Awesome. So this is really exciting because we've got a couple of things specifically as we focus in on this. So one of the top questions that I hear from customers often, and hopefully you guys in the room are also asking this question of yourselves, or maybe someone else higher or around you are asking this question, is how might we tell if and how are people using Yammer? So we've deployed Yammer. What does this look like? Where are they using it? In which device are they using Yammer? What does that look like, and how can we really start to see that? So the solution we have for you is Office 365 Usage Reporting Dashboard. And this is actually in the admin center of the O365 kind of admin center. And you are able to kind of drill in deeper to see who is using Yammer, on what device are they using Yammer, and you can also start to see the different activities within the different groups. Specifically, if you're thinking about, or if you had a really big announcement or something has happened within your organization, you can also kind of drill down from a time perspective within a group, not within a group, but kind of overall from a network level. You can see which groups are most active from maybe that point in time or that specific event, maybe an announcement of a merger, or your quarterly business results have come out, things like that. You can kind of really start to see some of those changes in the active groups. Kaleem, why don't you show us what that looks like? Yeah. Flip it over.
Okay, awesome. So here I am in the Office 365 usage reporting dashboard in the admin center. So this, of course, is the home page of this thing. And this product is intended to give you a sense of how people are using the different Office 365 services that you have deployed. Now, at this home page, at a high level, it shows you, how many users are using these different services. And you've got these little cards which show you a little bit more detail about each of them. Now, last year when we were at Ignite, we talked about how we had this Yammer user activity report, right? So this gave you a sense of how many people are using Yammer and what they're doing on Yammer. Are they actively creating content, or are they passively consuming content? And since then, we've had a couple of big asks. One of those asks has been to help understand what the different devices are that people are using Yammer from. And so this becomes important, especially if you're running campaigns where you're trying to empower frontline workers in a sort of a retail setting and so on. And so I'm going to go to the report that shows this. We have introduced a new report. And here, when I load this up, there's a couple of things to note here. On the top visualization, this is giving me a visual trend of the number of people that are using these different devices for Yammer. So if I happen to run an initiative where I wanted to get people to use Yammer on their mobile phone apps to start communicating with each other, then this is a good place to come and keep an eye on trends. And if you wanted to specifically look at just mobile, you can pull out the web one over there, and it just shows you the details for that. Now, the other thing over here is this is showing you trends over time. If you wanted a quick summary, you could always go to the distribution tab, and it just shows you all of the numbers for each of these devices. And at the bottom here, we've got this table which provides a really deep view and tells you which devices people are specifically using during this time period. So this is one report that we think is going to be really helpful to help you understand the kinds of platforms and devices that people are using to access Yammer. So that was one of the asks that we get. The second ask, as Allison mentioned, is around groups. So to help us understand, how are people using groups in Yammer? Which groups are the most used? How do we know if we're increasing the number of active groups in our company? And for that, we have introduced two different reports that show you this. So I'm going to go to the Yammer Groups Activity Report over here. And what you'll notice over here is that in this top graph, it shows you the proportion of groups that are active. I can always pull this out, and I can see that over time. And if I go to this Activity tab, it'll show me the kinds of activities that are happening in my groups over this time period. And if I scroll down again, you get a really nice view of all of these different groups and the kinds of activities that are happening here. There's also a couple of other bits of info that are really useful. For example, it's got one of the group admin's contacts, whether the group is private or public, and if you are also connected to Office 365. So let's say you had a major announcement or that happened over the last 7 days, or maybe there's a crisis, and people are sort of organizing organically to handle that or discuss about those things. Then this is a place where you could go and you could sort these out by the amount of activity that's happening in those groups, and you'd be able to tell which groups have been most active for that time period. And in other cases, let's say over a longer period of time, you're trying to understand which groups are really engaging and active, then you can find that out from here, and maybe you can check those groups out and see what they're doing to keep those people engaged. So I'm going to show you one more thing, and that is that we also had an Office 365 Groups Activity Report. So this shows you the data in context with other services that you have on top of the connected groups. And so you'll see there's Yammer information here, and there's SharePoint and Exchange conversations here. But this, again, is only for the groups that are Office 365 connected. So these are the three different reports that we have launched since then. I'm going to jump back out of this. And to summarize, this is just what I showed you. So we had the user content activity report last year, and since then we've added 3 more reports to give you better insights into how people are using Yammer in your organization.
Great. So the next question that often gets asked of myself and I know within the customers is how might we build these reports and kind of do our own scorecards and our own analysis of this. I want a little bit more flexibility than what is provided kind of out of the box there. The other kind of piece to this is we want to know who is using this, but more specifically in what region, what country, what department, kind of more or less of that type of data as well, because that is really interesting to start to continue to foster engagement in other areas or kind of see who's doing this really well and how can we encourage other regions. So what does that look like? So what do we have for you for this? Because that is a very common question. Office 365 usage analytics, and I would say this is kind of using that Power BI. You have the flexibility to kind of plug and play and check and uncheck and really customize a lot of the tools here. And then you will also have the ability to share out some of the dashboards and the scorecards you may or may create. And so a couple of my customers actually use this almost as a basis if they're presenting out to their executive sponsors, or maybe they have a team of champions that they want to kind of show the progress. These are kind of really good reports for them to kind of share out with them as well. So Kaleem, why don't you show us what this could look like?
I will switch again. Yeah, so this is a really exciting tool. So the previous tool that I showed you provides you with some of the reports to show you how people are using Yammer within your organization, right? But there's a couple of things that may happen. So you might want to build your own reports and analyses. And a lot of times you might be running campaigns for introducing not just Yammer, but Office 365 in your organizations. So you might want to see how multiple services are being adopted during the same time frame. And so this is a really great tool for that. And I'll show you a couple of different things. All of the data that we just showed you in the previous thing is all going to be available here for you to visualize, to analyze, to slice and dice. And you'll see one example here is it's showing you the proportion of people that were actively using each of these different services here in Office. So I'm going to scroll down here to a section which has got Yammer. And you'll see that the device activity that I showed from the previous report is also available here. It's giving me a sense of how many people are using Yammer through these devices. I'm going to go to one over here, which is around Yammer groups. Now, this has got some of that information, and it's got a couple of additional things. So it's showing you the trends of the active and total groups in your company, but it also shows you the number of groups that have performed a specific action, whether they've read a post, whether they've posted a message or liked a thing. And it shows you the total amount of activity that resides there, how many public groups do you have, how many private groups do you have. And you can filter this stuff too and look at this data for specific types of groups in here. So let's say on a quarterly basis, you have a meeting with all of your group admins, or perhaps you're reporting out to somebody else, showing how your initiatives are panning out across groups. This is a really good thing to take and use for that purpose. And you can, of course, modify this and customize this and share it with others in your organization as well. Now, last year at Ignite, we were talking about how we're going to hook up the Yammer user activity data in here as well. And that is also available here now. So if I go to this user activity report, there's a couple of really cool things here. So the first thing you'll notice is that it shows you which departments are most active in your company on Yammer. The way it gets this is because this information is available in Azure Active Directory. And you can check out the most active users in your company. You can also filter this data down by specific locations or departments. So really powerful stuff. And you can use this to follow campaigns across departments. So if you're talking to somebody in, say, sales and trying to convince them to try Yammer for a couple of weeks, this is a way that you can also use to follow how that is going over time. So So again, to summarize what I just showed you, the usage analytics is a really cool tool to create your own reports and visualizations as you see fit and share it out with people. And the other thing is that we are supporting all of this Yammer data in this tool for you.
Great. So one of the things that I often get asked, especially with my larger customers or maybe my customers who have a little bit more developer help, or maybe they've built a lot of custom applications within their own organization, they have kind of asked, hey, Allison, this data is great, but how can I pull this data and not manipulate it, but pull it into some of the applications and kind of mash up some of the data that I have? So for example, one of my customers is trying to really map some of the Yammer data to some of their HR data with turnover, employee engagement, some of the other kind of collections of data points that they have. So how in the world could they do that, Kaleem? What does that look like?
So all of the awesome data, all of the awesome data that we just showed you in the previous tools, you know, some of you might have your own custom solutions where you want to incorporate that information or that data. And we are making all of that data available through the Microsoft Graph Reporting APIs. So you will be able to take all of that and hook it up into your own custom solutions. And there's a couple of streams of data that's already available there. There's user activity data, there's device activity data, and we are adding the groups activity as well.
Great. Fantastic. So the last question that we often get, and specifically within this launch phase, is something about, can we get this data without asking IT every single time? And I actually have a very personal story with this. I was working with a customer earlier this year, and I was working with the comms and marketing team, and we had to report out almost weekly, maybe bi-weekly on some of the numbers, and it was such a lengthy, time-consuming process of trying to get this information, and IT was not handing over rights to some of these dashboards because they have a lot of, it's some pretty powerful stuff in there, lots of licensing and compliance and all sorts of things that they were going to give us access to. So Kaleem, please tell me that there's a solution for this.
Yeah, so we are actually announcing the reports reader administrator role for this exact purpose. So the challenge you have in this space is that you might have, you know, people like community managers who are interested in just the adoption and usage specific parts, right? And you want to provide access for that without providing access to all of the other stuff, the billing, the security settings, and so on. And so what you can do is actually assign this role to them, to a specific community manager or a small group of people. And every time that they want this information, they can go there and they can get it without having to you know, put in a whole bunch of other process. So this is really exciting, and we think that this will make it really easier to scale how you share out that information to different people in the company.
I think like the IT people are happy, the community, we're all happy, like yay, kumbaya, finally.
So I see a hand up there. I think towards the end we can take the questions.
Yeah, sounds good. So when is this all going to happen?
Yeah, so we showed you a whole bunch of these awesome tools. All of these tools that I'm showing on the slide here are available for you for use right now. Wow. You can go and check these out. It's really cool. And in early 2018, we are going to support the group's activity data in usage analytics, so you can create your own reports and build your own analyses. So yeah, very exciting stuff coming soon, and all of this other stuff available right now. So the other thing is I'm going to go back to this community manager journey that I showed you, and we talked about these two different phases, right? And so in the launch phase, all of the things that I showed you, here they are. So we have been working on these tools over the last year to make this phase much more successful for you and provide the right tools. And now we're going to talk about the next phase and the work that we've been doing over there.
All right, so for Grow, stand up if you would say your network is more or less kind of in this grow phase. You're focused on a little bit more use cases, really one person, That's it? Okay, come on. I was like, it is after lunch. You need this stand-up anyways. I see some of you still shoveling your lunch in. And so this is really kind of this stage where you're really focusing on building those groups out to the best of their ability, kind of thinking through what could this look like beyond just the launch. I know I was actually at dinner with a customer last night, and they were saying, yeah, we've got just about everybody on Yammer, but we need to kind of work on kind of really encouraging some groups to take it to the next level. So this is kind of exactly where this fits in. Probably the number one question I get asked, you all probably get asked, our IT team gets asked, our product team gets asked is, but really, how is my group doing? Maybe you as a community manager or an IT pro or whoever you are have worked with the group to suggest some things that they should try and see if it impacts the way that their group is going. But I don't know if you're really being able to kind of tell the impact of that. So is the idea then that we just give everybody the report reader role that we just showed you? Probably not. I've worked with customers that have hundreds of groups. That would mean hundreds of people would need that report reader role. Probably not the best scalable solution. So we're super excited this week to announce that we will have group insights actually in Yammer, in the groups, kind of at the fingertips of the people who are within the groups and the group admins. So we're super excited about this. And we have seen some really, really interesting things with this. So I would say I know that many of you have worked really hard and have had time-consuming ways that you show your group admins that the work that they're doing is valuable. You're pulling the data export. You're doing a lot of things like that to kind of make and work through some of this data. So we're hoping by being able to provide you with some of this, we've taken some of the heavy lifting out so that you can really focus on the people and the conversations and the engagement and working with leaders. And then these analytics will at least start to provide a little bit of insight for what you're up to and kind of prove the value and prove the success within the groups. Kaleem, I know you are super excited to show us what this looks like. So go ahead, take it away. Let's see what this looks like in Yammer.
Absolutely. Okay, so here I am in Yammer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a group that I go every now and then to check out the conversations that are happening about latest company strategy, or simply connecting with some of the leadership team and checking out the discussions there. And that group is the Executive Connection Group. So here you see the familiar group layout, and it's got all of the different things. How do you get to the group insights for this specific group? Right here, under the group actions, what you'll see is a link and called View Group Insights. If you click that, the Group Insights page just loads. Beautiful. And
ooh, pretty. So excited.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what's the different parts of this page right now and the reason why we decided to include some of these things in here. Right here at the top, you'll notice that this is for the last 7 days. So all of the data that's being shown here pertains to that time period. The most important number here is the one that you see right here in this top card on the left. And this is the number of people that are active in your group. So they may be posting, they may be reading, liking, and so on. And we provide these little indicators right next to them. So you see, change positively 130%. We provide these little indicators to give you a quick sense of how things have changed from the previous 7 days. So when we were doing research and we were trying out some of our design solutions with customers, what we found was that these are really handy for getting a quick glance at how things have changed from the last week. So we decided to keep them. The other thing you'll notice are these two different colors. And what it's showing you is the number of people that were active in your group that were members of the group and that were not necessarily members. They were just maybe visiting the group for a specific purpose or got tagged and so on. And the reason why we added this is that generally you care about what's going on within the members of the group, right? But for certain types of groups, let's say you have a community of interest or maybe even one of those organizational groups where people are connecting with leadership, there might be a lot of good content that gets created in those groups, which people outside the group may refer to, and they come back to it and take advantage of that. And so people might be getting value out of this stuff, even if they aren't members necessarily of the group. And we found that it was one of the things that was important to understand as well. And so for all of the things that we show you here, we break it down and show you how that looks like for people in the group and people outside the group. So we show you how many people are active in the group, whether they're members or non-members, but we go a step further, to show you what are the kinds of things that they're doing in your group. So here on the right side, what you'll notice is these two columns. And these show you the number of people that have posted in your group, whether they've read a message in your group or they've liked. So you get a sense of what's really happening over here. And you can hover over these and get little, nice little tooltips. So this top section really is all about telling you how many people are active in your group and what are they doing within your group. Let's look at the bottom section with these 3 cards. So these 3 cards at the bottom are showing you the trends in activity in your group over time. So this first card, of course, lets you know how many messages were posted in your group over the last 7 days. And you'll see it breaks it down nicely for each day. I can hover over these, and it'll show me what that number was and how much of it was performed by people in or out of the group. Similarly, the next card shows you how many messages were read in this group, and I can hover over those as well and get more information. And the third card shows you how many messages were liked in this group. Now, this view is really nice to keep an eye on things, on a week-to-week basis. Perhaps check it out a couple of times a week. Maybe you can monitor daily. But some of you might have initiatives that run, for a longer period of time. Some of these initiatives in your groups might take weeks or maybe even months to develop. And for that, you'll want a longer period of time to look at these metrics. And for that, we offer a couple of different other time periods. As I click this drop down here, you'll see we offer a 28-day time period. So you can see what this data looks like for the last 28 days. And all of this adapts and shows you what happened. And the other thing is that we offer a 12-month time period as well. So you can see how far your group has come over a much, much longer period of time. And it breaks it down by each month. So that is really, really powerful stuff. I'm going to go to the 28-day time period for this group. And let's take a look at the trends in this group, right? You see a bunch of people, there's a bunch of messages being posted here, 50, 20, so on. During the same time, there's actually a lot of content being consumed in this group. Look at the numbers of messages being read. So there's a lot of interest in engaging in this group. And towards the end, perhaps the executive in this group had a town hall, so you see this big spike over here. Lots of messages being posted, read, and liked at the same time.
So this is actually some really, really interesting data. I'm actually working with a customer right now, and we are focusing with their executive team and their senior leadership. And we're really kind of trying to change a mindset of less about broadcasting, because I think executives kind of check that box often very well. They are very good at broadcasting, but more kind of shifting more into that engaging mentality. And so I'm really excited about some of these analytics, because these will start to tell me if they go in and start to like and respond, does that impact, or what will the impact look like kind of on that monthly or weekly basis? Because my assumption is that if a felt presence, especially of an executive or senior leaders within the group will continue to kind of engage and have those more have those conversations and those dialogues within the group. So I'm really excited about the work that I'm doing with my customer, as well as being able to actually show them what this could look like. Kind of here's where we're starting at, and here's kind of how we're going to move the needle from that perspective.
Yeah, so let me show you another group and see what's going on over there. So I'm going to go to this New Zealand group, and this is really a community of interest. So you've got people who are actively sharing tips about things to do in New Zealand, places to check out, and so on. And let's take a look at their insights. I'm going to go to the 28-day view. And so you can see the pattern of use here is a little bit different from the previous group that I showed you. And you'll see that there's a small community here. They're posting a whole bunch of content. And interestingly enough, in this community, there's proportionally a huge, larger number of likes. So what you've got is a small community that's helping each other out with tips and answers and sort of patting each other on the back and thanking each other for that information. Now, you might actually have, so one of the things we added over here is, in case you wanted even more flexibility to build your own reports and you wanted to create your own scorecards, then a really handy thing that we decided to add here is being able to download all of this data. So for the entire time period that we show you, for the last 12 months, you will be able to get this data and be able to create your own scorecards, if you will, or observe these trends for specific time periods, if you will. So this is really exciting stuff, and we've been working very hard on this for the last several months, so we're excited to see what the kinds of things that you're going to do with this. And that concludes the demo for Group Insights in Yammer.
I was like, please. I might have gotten goosebumps. It's okay.
So to summarize again, the things I showed you, we give you a really good sense of the activity trends in your groups. And we provide this for a couple of different time periods, 7 days, the last 20 days, and the last 12 months. You can download this information, and it's available to all of the different group members in your group. So we are very excited about this.
All right, so another question that I've actually seen you guys answer in a variety of ways is how might we set up people in the right groups from the start? Some of you, and I know myself included in some of the early days, we had notes within our Yammer networks suggesting specific groups for specific groups of people, or maybe they were new hires and we were kind of funneling them that way. Or maybe you've actually attended new hire orientation and done your Yammer song and dance and encouraged the new hires to join certain groups. But is there a way, or could there be a way to kind of get these new hires or people who maybe are changing roles or changing locations into the right Yammer groups from the very beginning of their journey at your organization? Kaleem, what do we have for them for that?
Yeah, for that, folks will be excited to know about dynamic group membership in Yammer. So this is powered by Azure Active Directory. And the way this works is you can go ahead in Azure and set up a bunch of rules and policies that say, if somebody joins a specific department or they are in a specific location or have a specific job title, then make sure to add them to all of these different groups, right? So that way when somebody comes in, they're automatically set up with all of the right groups and have the right context and know where to go. And as they change their locations, maybe they change their jobs, maybe they change their departments, then that membership gets updated automatically. So it saves you a lot of work that perhaps you might be performing manually and helps make sure that they are all set up with the right stuff. So very exciting stuff, and you are already able to use this.
All right, and one of the other kind of final pieces from this stage is oftentimes we, and I say we hoping that you're in this similar category as myself, I'm actually really curious on Yammer. I know a lot of different groups. I see a lot of different things happening on Yammer. So oftentimes I see a conversation and I think, oh, there is a better place for that conversation. And here's why I think that, because I think if the conversation was in a better group, or just a better area of Yammer, the right people would see it faster and provide value quicker to the person who posted it. And here's why that's important, is sometimes people are really fearful to maybe post in a very public forum like Yammer. And so for them to post and maybe either it fall to the ground and not get any likes or views or even a reply, they may or may not come back. So really kind of helping them, guiding them to the right groups and to the right areas of Yammer is really, really helpful. Today, this is really messy in Yammer, right? So you can share a conversation, but then you've got two conversations and two threads going because maybe somebody saw it and is replying, or maybe you're mentioning kind of the right people to try and get them to see the conversation, but you really essentially know that conversation would be better served elsewhere. Kaleem, please tell me that we've got something to clean up this mess.
So, yeah, so some of you saw this yesterday, but we now have the ability to move conversations between groups in Yammer. So this is really exciting for a couple of reasons, because it's going to help you direct those threads to the right places. And the way this would work is, you would be able to see a conversation in Yammer, right? And you would have an option to move it within Yammer. So you select that, and then if you hit it, you'll get this dialog. It shows you this drop-down. You can specify exactly which groups you want to send it to, and then it will go there and recite over there. And so, this is the way that you can help direct people to the right places, make sure the content is curated and resides in there. So.
And the final question is, and I hope you guys don't feel like you're out alone on this journey, is where do I learn more about community management, use cases, best practices, templates, editable things? I just came from another session. We've got lots of different things for you, guides to kind of help you along your journey. We have a brand new community resource center, aka.ms/yam resources. And this is really going to be some things we've pulled together kind of out of the archives, some things that are brand new, some things that our customers have shared with us that are really just going to help you kind of, I would just say, rocket the adoption within your organizations. We have a really great guide for groups within this. So specifically, we've talked a lot about groups that would be a great option for you to kind of download and then hand off to some of your group admins. We've got checklists, we've got training guides here, we've got communication templates. One of the things that was very favorable the last couple of days, we've actually pulled together a guide of how to roll out O365 using Yammer. So we've got that guide in there, step by step, suggested groups for you, really an opportunity for you to kind of pick up and run with this stuff. Please do not recreate the wheel with this. Please do not. Start here. We've also got a lot of other resources as well that I'll share in a little bit. But yeah, this is a great place for you guys to start too.
Cool, awesome. So when is all this stuff available for you to use? Well, the dynamic group membership and Yammer and the Community Resource Center are available for you today. You can go check them out. There's support articles and so on that'll show you the different steps you need to use this. And in terms of the things that are coming up next, Group Insights, we are going to start rolling this out next month in October. So you'll start seeing that in your networks. So very excited about that. And then moving conversations between groups, you should start getting that before the end of the year. So that's another thing to look forward to. So there's all these things that we talked about, right? But there's a couple of other handy things that we would decided to add here to make available before the end of the year. And that is being able to get a couple of lists. So being able to get easily a list of all of the group admins that you have in your organization. And the reason why this is handy is, for example, if you wanted to communicate certain policies or be able to get all of them together more easily and so on, this is really handy. And the other thing that we're offering is the ability to easily get a list of all of the people who are members of your group in an exportable format. And this is really handy if you have really large groups with thousands of members. So again, really lots of exciting stuff.
I'm excited about those last two. The last customer I worked with, that was something that we really, really needed, was that list of group admins and the list of group members. We were trying to work through calendar invites and kind of pulling them, working through communication. So that's going to be killer. I'm excited for those. But awesome. I'm excited for a lot of stuff. So take it with a grain of salt.
So yeah, let's go back to this community manager journey. We just talked about all of the different things we are now offering in the growth phase. You see all of this awesome stuff. So over the last year, our teams have been very hard at work building all of these things so we can help you be successful in these two different phases. And we can't wait to see the kinds of things that you build and the kinds of things you do with your communities with all this stuff. So I hope, again, to all of these things that we showed you, that it's clear that Yammer cares about community management and helping ensure its success. And we want to provide, again, community managers with the right tools and information so that they can make better decisions about their communities and help them really foster and grow. So again, now, community management sometimes can be involved, and sometimes as you're adopting Yammer, you might need some additional support and help. For this, we have a number of great adoption partners that we work with. A couple of them actually are speaking at Ignite this week. So Swoop and Tygraph, make sure to check out their sessions. You'll be able to find them and learn a lot more about them as well.
Yeah, so like I said, the brand new Community Resource Center, that is available, and there's a fantastic webcast where we've got some really, really interesting customers that is available as well, kind of live, and a lot of different content that you can kind of stay connected to understand what's coming, when it's coming, especially for some of these things that we announced that aren't quite live yet. If you want to start tracking that, you can as well. aka.ms/Yam community, a lot of either us in the room or kind of the Yammer folks who are really in the tech community. That would be a great place for us to continue this conversation post-Ignite. That's an awesome opportunity. The service update group, we talked about this in a couple other sessions too, but this is where we share, hey, here's an A/B test that's coming out. It might affect your network. Get ready. That is also a fantastic external group that we use to kind of communicate the big things and also some of the little things and kind of to gather feedback. And then the Yammer user voice, that's where you're going to be able to kind of suggest features or request different opportunities and products and things like that. So actually, we've got quite a bit of things left from a Yammer world the rest of Ignite, because it's only Tuesday, and we've got one more session today, I think, one more session this afternoon, and a couple more. Social intranet should be really interesting as well. And then the rest of the week, really, we've got some incredible Yammer MVPs, customers, partners, really doing some really interesting things that we want you guys to look and watch and hear from our customers, really telling the real world stories of what it looks like, how it feels, kind of the lessons that they've learned. Specifically, I know Tygraph's in the room. They've got a session, I think, on Friday. Mining Yammer for data gold or for gold. So I think that, especially if you're interested in kind of doing some more with the data, I think these are some really, really good, great sessions for you to look into. I know Yammer for IT and the MVP panel, I think that one's going to be incredible. I might be in the back cheering them on as well. So I know it's not quite happy hour, but we're getting close. We actually have a Yammer happy hour later this afternoon or this evening, 6 to 9. We'd love for you to join us there. It's about a 10-minute walk. I don't know where that 10 minutes starts because this place is gigantic, but it's about a 10-minute walk from the convention center. We'd love to have you live music. Come meet other Yammer customers. It would be great to connect with you there. And then at Ignite, similarly, as we started this journey last year and from previous years, this is only the start of our conversation. We've got a lot of different events kind of coming up in the next few months that we would love to connect with you. Either it's you or other people from your organization kind of joining us. We would love to see you there. So I think we have maybe
10 minutes.
10 minutes, and then, of course, the obligatory evaluation slide. But we've got about 10 minutes left for Q&A, and we would love to answer any questions that you might have. If we want them in the recording, you must use a mic. So we have 10 minutes. If you have any questions, do you want them to come up, or how do you want to?
So first of all, please give yourselves a round of applause for making it out for lunch.
Yeah. After lunch crowd, cool. Thanks. All right. What questions do you have? If you've got questions, go ahead and come up to the mic. If you don't have questions, that's okay too.
Yeah, and also one more thing. So this whole week we have a booth set up in the expo floor, so you can come check us out. Try some of these things we showed you in person. Ask us any questions there. We'd love to get feedback from you to see how things are going within your organizations and how we can make things even better. So.
Tell us who you are, your organization, where you're at in your Yammer life journey.
Hi, I'm Baxter Willis. I work for partner WM Reply, and we're giving the talk tomorrow with Diageo, which will be exciting. Who can move conversations from groups?
I knew this was going to be a question. Everyone.
So currently it is everybody in the group can move those conversations. similar to how you can, anybody who's part of a private message. So if you have a private message and you have a bunch of different people on it, then anybody in that thread can make it public and post it in a group. Similar to that, like anybody in the group can also move these conversations.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there.
Okay,
The tall microphone.
you can put it down.
I will.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm Cindy Larson from Adient, and I'm in corporate communications. And my question is, in the reporting, the reader role that you showed, and the group insights, do you have to be a Yammer verified admin, which is hard to get from you guys, in order to see full data roll up into those reports?
So there's a couple of things. For the group insights, you do not need to be a verified admin. What you need to be is like a member of that group to be able to access those. For all of the things that we showed you from usage analytics and usage reporting, there's a little bit of a nuance there. So all of the things in usage reporting, you would need to be an Office 365 admin to get access to them. But if they assign you the reader role, then you can access those reports without having to be a verified admin on Yammer. So you do not need to be a verified admin to get the report reader role.
But I need to be this O365 admin thing?
No.
Okay.
So an Office 365 admin can just give you that
We'll
role.
grant you the keys.
And yeah,
Okay.
basically give you the keys, and then you can go and check it out anytime that you want.
And with the report reader role, it's not just Yammer. You will get read-only to the variety of services.
Perfect,
So,
thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Oh, no. Oh, no. Hi. Hi.
Don't worry, this is down in the weeds. Hey, Melanie Horowitz, Cargill. Don't get me wrong, I've got group owners that are going to absolutely love this. Just giving you an idea for next time. My group owners who are absolutely going to love this are going to turn right around, and all of them are going to want to become report readers, because all of them need to know who are the people who are driving all of that traffic. They're going to want to know, not only at the network owner level, but the group owner level, who are their champions that they can then, who maybe they should also make group admins or really look to try to grow that group. But the more detailed question in the weeds is just at the group level analytics you're providing, how are shares handled? Are those tracked just like a regular post?
So currently we've started out with simply the reads, posts, and likes. We did not include shares for this first version of it, but that's not to say it can be in the future versions. So yeah.
Great.
You have another question there?
Hi. Actually, I'm from the Azure Active Directory team, and I run a very active Yammer community for our customers. So one suggestion I have, you guys might think about, the moving the conversations, you might want to leave it up to the admin to make it for everyone or admin only, depending upon the type of group, because otherwise people might be just randomly moving around stuff. So if admin has the ability to decide they want to let everybody move or just let the admin move, that might be a good thing. And the second question I have is, how active or up to date are you guys with your user voice suggestions? Because I have like a lot of gaps that I identified today to be successful with my community, and especially with the external collaboration. I mean, I can start reading them out right now, but I'd probably go and post it if I know that it's like more active
So,
and listened
yeah.
and heard.
Yeah, so user voice, actually, our product team is very actively engaged in there. So every week what we do is we assign a person from our product team to monitor all of the things that are happening over there and to respond to people. Like sometimes we'll ask for more information, sometimes we'll tell this is happening or this is not happening. But like every week, and that person, if they don't have that answer, they come back to the product team, the rest of the product team, and they ask us like, hey, somebody is asking about so-and-so feature or about this particular aspect of this thing we just built. Like what's the story with that, or what's that particular answer? And we try to get that out. So we actually very active on that. So every week somebody is on there checking that whole thing out.
Bombard of posts from
Yeah, and as Pawan mentioned actually yesterday in the roadmap talk, like 57 of the things that we have on user voice are either have been already built or they're actively being built. So yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, so another session, so regarding this aspect actually, we have a session entirely talking about how we build products and how we solicit customer input and suggestions and use that as we're building out our roadmap, designing things, how we A/B test and so on. I think if you go to a previous slide, I can point that out. So,
One more.
yeah, one more. So yeah, there's
Tomorrow.
that session that's happening on Wednesday, which would be a really good one for you to check out as well if you're interested in learning more about our process and how we build.
And why we do the things we do. Cool, great. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of Ignite, and we hope to see you at the happy hour or the booth. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.